jumping in here with some lovely Creek bombers. A division that we have seen quite a bit lately as well again. Even getting banned.
Really?
Second New Zealanders. Yeah. Which...
Interesting.
Yeah.
Why second New Zealand? Like, what's strong about them?
They're pretty similar to Sil. And I remember they got... Oh yeah,
but with way worse infantry.
The Maori got buffed.
Oh, they did? Okay, well.
So, and the Maoris are pretty good infantry now with non-Pren MGs, with MG34s. So
Yeah.
they have some good long range and some good mid-range firepower now. And yeah, the Maori buff really brought them back as a like cost-efficient push tech. But obviously their weakness is that their late game scaling is just not there still, because they don't have any heavy tanks or anything. But it's kind of similar to Sil, I guess. Like, it's just different flavor there. Let's see what this is going at. What are the predictions saying? Ooh, Mimile the favorite. Though only 15,000 channel points invested into the gamble this time. Versus, I believe, 90,000 the first time around? What's with that deflation there, guys? Thought we're living in inflation times. Why so few channel points gambled away?
Which side do you prefer on how to shy it? Do you prefer the left side or right side?
I prefer usually playing on the right side. Yes.
Oh really? Okay. Because I'm a left side guy, because I think that the city is kind of equal, but and then when you look at the two flanks, I feel like the southern flank is much worse for blue. Like the southern side is where red would usually attack on a flank, and the northern side is where blue would usually attack on a flank. And I feel like the red flank attack is much better than the blue one. Or maybe not much, not much better. It's slightly better. Slightly. I'm gonna take this back. It's not much better.
Yeah.
But like slightly.
Yeah, the three
because
flags, they are pretty
just close
together. But the red flag is easier to take. The first flag.
Yeah, but it's only one.
Yeah. But also...
And my playstyle, it's not enough for me to take one. I will lose at the 30-minute mark if I only take one flag in my attack.
But in my eyes, the town is slightly in favor of blue. Because blue has this line of... those houses in the rear are actually recoverable. Like, allowing you to get back into the town somewhat. Whilst on the other side, there's like a much bigger gap between the houses. So getting anything into the town once you get slightly pushed out is way harder for red in my eyes than for blue. But yeah, there's arguments for both sides. It's a pretty balanced map in general. It's just like what you like more flavor.
Yeah, it's minor things. But also, I would say, if you ever find yourself on the outskirts of your own town and are like, how do I push this back? No. Your consideration should be, how do I never get pushed out to that point? In fact, how do I push my opponent out of the town, If I, El Bowser, find myself completely pushed out of the center town, I lost. I'm never gonna take that shit back.
Yeah.
I only consider offensive positions.
Yeah. Crusader AA coming in A phase without referency, so there will be 3 of them around. Means that we most likely won't see any Arado strafing memes though. On the other side, Flammenwerfers coming around. Big question mark is how aggressive those Crusaders will go.
Aufklärer in the traction. Why?
Whoa, yeah. Why Aufklärers? I guess.
Why?
I guess the Flammenwerfers, but yeah. No
the Flammenwerfer, yes, but the Aufklärer, huh? And I also strongly suspect that Yamin is bringing in that Crusader in not only as a deterrence against scout planes, but also as an infantry support vehicle. It's actually really good at that.
You know what is really, really sad? You see all those buildings in this, like, close to the middle, that are somewhat favored for blue road-wise. If you get there and you check the line of sight, not a single one of them has a good line of sight into the red side. Like, they all just see jack shit. Otherwise, rushing an Aufklärer there to just have good line of sight onto anything coming in there could be quite interesting. But none of them has like unobstructed field of view onto the red side. They all get blocked by a stupid fence somewhere. Which is
Yep.
just utter pain. But I guess, yeah, Mimile is someone who likes Aufklärers, and he most likely.
I mean, I get it. I also like Aufklärers, but there's no need to bring them in with attractions, especially if you can bring in something brutal with them, right? Like that big Aufklärer squad or something, like the big squad with which is basically like an expensive infantry squad. I think you can bring those in attractions, right? Or as you said, like the MGs at least, right? Like
the MG
imagine
and
Russian and MG.
The Spätrupp, I believe you can bring in there as well.
Ah, okay.
Those are the two options.
I thought you can bring the big one as well.
No. The Spätrupp and the Pioneer Fur. I believe those are the options there. You sadly can't get the MG34s. And yeah, but the Aufklärer, I would expect it to rush for the church maybe, and then just hide in the church. As an Aufklärer that is on return fire in a church doesn't even get spotted from infantry that is like standing right next to it. So
yeah,
that is the idea there. I wonder where the northern Aufklärer will go. Maybe into one of the... There the buildings have a much better view on the red side. I would expect one of the like northern outgoing road buildings to really have an eye on that edge where the 17-pounders often hide. So that you see those. And yeah, Flammenwerfer, yeah, Pioneer Führer coming in attractions as well. So he has 3 different units in attractions. So I guess it's just about like having some tractions left and then using them for the Aufklärer. Not using the MG.
Panzer IV and Marder in the center. We also see Panzer IV with a veterancy, so pretty limited number there. And we also see basically through that the Sturk is most likely going to be in B phase, so he's going to have a decent number of Sturks throughout the game. His opponent brings in a Sherman and a good mix of the aforementioned Italian, elite infantry, basically. A bunch of Maro Brands, Maros Arditi, Alpini. And in the south as well, pretty good mix of infantry. I'm not really sure this mill deployment. Where I would have made 12 traction flamers and just rushed every position. No way he has fast transports for every position. And when you have 12 traction flamers, you can rush every position at once.
Yeah, Fastest currently coming on. I'm not sure. I know a lot of the old decks now have 2 cards of flamethrowers. I'm not sure. Do you have 2 flamethrower cards?
I think I looked, or I'm pretty sure I looked when we looked at the deck, and they do have 2.
Okay. Yeah, Sherman 3's coming up in the center. Panzer IV and Marder, they're pretty good against that. Yeah, a lot of different infantry units there. I'm pretty interested that Yamin always brings the Alpini. I know that a lot of people still say it's still pretty useless, as it's a 20-point, 8-hit-point infantry, but it comes at 2 veterancy base. So that is...
And 8 units in A with double vet is not bad.
Yeah. It has a Pran gun.
The question is more whether there isn't something even more worthwhile in there, right? And we see no off-map in the start.
Yes. Spitfires
as it
versus
picked off.
AR-196. If that AR-196 gets the kill, I would absolutely love, but yeah, I mean, it should be
It really shouldn't. It really shouldn't. Oh, but that's a Spitfire without a gun as well.
Yeah, exactly. The Spitfire has no guns. Arado is trying to get into a position where it can shoot, but it doesn't quite get the angle. Yeah, it's flying too low, actually, to get a good shot out there. Yes, the Spitfire is...
And we see the tractions going forward, and this is what I'm talking about. Like, he could be at the edge of his enemy's base with 8 flamers. But I guess we'll wait and see how it turns out here. Flamer going pretty far forward. He's at least going to seize the center of the town before Yamin can even make it in there.
Aufklärer securing the church. Really important. Aufklärer also getting into both lines of houses, north and south. As like
north is not looking so good. Look in the very north. The smoke actually saving this. The little Mimile T-gun in the back, though, is still gonna be deadly to these transports. And there actually is your double MG L3 meme vehicle there. It's coming.
Yeah, Flammenwerfer trying to smoke a bit more. Stoßtruppen, Panzerfaust desperately trying to get into this. Mimile on a 1410. Question mark. Yeah, off map coming in now. I was expecting it somewhere around this time. It's coming in pretty early.
The Spitfire is gonna spot it. He's gonna know.
Yeah, Kampf holding the line. Flammenwerfers
The
secured.
southwest deck count is going through, and that could potentially snipe the off map if it makes some, you know, if or maybe another off map later in the game if it makes its way through, or just a bunch of a bunch of infantry transports as well. It's definitely dangerous if that gets in your back line.
But Mimile knows about it. He has the Arados to spot it.
True.
He saw it. I checked on his line of sight. So he should be prepared for that. Off-map vehicle is discovered, but will still get something out. Maro Bren there with its 4 Bren guns holding the line nicely against the Jagdkampf. First off-map coming in. That spot is not super helpful, but the Sherman in the town went down, didn't it? So
no, it's in the house line.
no,
okay. In the north.
It was really well hidden behind the Maro Bren for me. I was wondering there for a second. Yeah, that needs to die. Marder and Panzer IV need to fight together there. But first bomber coming in for Yamin. Hunting down the off-map. Flak 43 coming in the rear. Off-map will try to dodge.
It's running!
But it has to go around the building. That might slow it down too much. It does survive for now. Good dodge by Mimile. Exactly knowing what's going on there. Flak 43 unloading a bit too far in the rear. Panic unload there. Will stay alive for now though, as we have an infantry fight in the north. Gustatory Para together with Arditi. Good old flamethrower TNT combo. Coming in. Stoßtruppen, Panzerfaust. Didn't get their TNT out. Down to 1 hit point. The flamethrowers and the Berettas really making their life tough. But 1 TNT here. Aligning. No, they realign. They don't get the TNT out. Neither do the Pioneers. Too many Berettas just running over them.
And there's a counter-offensive on the way in the north. Look how much shit is coming in there. A bunch of new infantry, a Crusader, some of more L3s. And there's a Jagdkampf there with a Panzerschreck. But that's gonna be very rough to hold back, actually. Off-map in the town did come down, but didn't substantially break the line. And that feels like it might not have been enough.
Yeah, next one though looks kind of promising. Sherman and Crusader AA in that. And Panzer IV will try to find a Steward, but there is an M1 gun, and that is an absolutely perfect Panzer IV killer. M1 guns really cost efficient at that. Has to turn around a bit, so the Panzer IV at least gets a couple of MG bullets on it. It bounces actually. That's highly unfortunate.
Lucky.
As the Panzer IV actually wins that engagement. The M1 gun not quite getting into any light cover, which would helped out. But the L3 running over the open there in the north, surrendering some infantry. And
the Arado tried to strafe it, but overshot like big time.
And Spitfire coming around now.
Coming in now, but there's a Flak 43 in the back. And it's flying straight into the Flak 43 here.
Gets the Arado, but the Spitfire is a vulnerable plane. It luckily turns to the left for Yamin. If it would have turned to the right, it most likely would have gotten shut down. This way, it should survive. It's really low though, so it will be taken out for a while. And losing the Arados is not too much of an issue. As we said earlier, you have 6 of them. They only cost 40 points, so they are replaceable. Panzer IV got rid of the M1 gun. Got penetrated once there though. Off map, didn't kill the Crusader or the Sherman, but did a good amount of stress. I would like to see more infantry in the center for Mimile though. Big question is, can he afford that at the moment with the situation in the north deteriorating quite quickly? As he gets more Stoßtruppen in there. Jagdkampf trying to hold the line against the Alpini. Alpini there.
Yeah, Commando in there as well, but that's not quite enough against 2 Alpini squads. It seems like Stoßtruppen coming up in the back, but they actually zoom past that stack count. Stack count can't intercept them, so they're gonna arrive at the front line.
They go past.
And the Marder is now pushing over the open,
well,
and there is actually nothing here that can oppose this Marder. So for now, it's gonna kind of secure at least the southern bit of that northern attack.
Third off map, meanwhile, coming in the center, but there's nothing really where it hits. Neither the Shermans nor the Crusaders get hit, so that off map, pretty wasted.
That's a Ford Stewart. Stewart gets the kill.
Oh, yeah. highly unfortunate. Stuart securing that kill is quite luck-based, but I guess it's payback for the M1 gun bouncing earlier. So
Yeah,
EGL
it's Panzer IVs are just the classic glass cannon, right? They can defeat the tanks that are a bit bigger and more expensive than them, but in return, the smaller, cheaper tanks, as long as they have some kind of penetrating gun, like this 37mm gun on the Stuart, will also be able to pen back the Panzer IV at a reasonable range.
Well, Peonies in the north actually starting to pin down the Jagdkampf. 2-star veterancy really helping out there. 20-point infantry not doing too shabby. As the Festung Grenadiers coming on the other side now. 15 hit points for 20 points. Quite good power there when it comes to hit points. As they also bring a automatic rifle. It's not the greatest with only having really low HE power. The FM, the old French gun there. But
Baltimore coming in the south to weaken that position, soften it up. After the Spitfire, scouted it out and probably spotted something. But I mean, it's just gonna hit some Festungs, a single unit of Festungs Grenadiers. I'm not sure it's worth calling in the Baltimore, but okay.
he wants to push hard there though. RDT.
It's a 4 died in the center to a well-hidden Sherman between the houses there, and I mean, Mimile can't be throwing away tanks with Dünkirchen. That they don't have enough tank depth for that, and so far he's not getting the tank traits he needs in the center, and the off map also didn't really get him the breakthrough he needed, and now he's locked in parity, and that's not really where you wanted to go, right? Like, you wanted to get an early advantage with your tractions rushing in, then you wanted to get a point advantage by hitting your opponent in the face with an off map a couple times, and then you wanted to sit there and ride out that advantage to the end.
Your
But that
infantry
didn't really happen.
can tank a lot and it can take time away from the enemy, but you can't really push into the infantry of Sil in the long run with it. Like the Maros, the Gustatory Paras, the Maro Prance just will beat you if you have to fight in the open or in like forest fights. And you want to sit in houses, you want to soak up damage with the Festung Grenadiers, keep on spamming 15-point infantry to the front line so that the enemy is constantly busy trying to kill them off whilst you replenish them whilst sitting on the 1311 though. And we don't have that 1311. And that's the big problem here for Mimile. His point advantage, absolutely minimal. That's 3-4 minutes of a single tick. Even less so if Yamin ever reaches a 59, and this is going to be a problem.
It's Sherman maneuvering through the houses. It finds the Mada, it's gonna shoot on the move. Misses. Pack 38 there. Why the fuck does he have a Pack 38 in this deck for? The Sherman was too adventurous there, it does die, but Pack 38 against the Sherman deck?
Well, they do pretty decently against Shermans. But yeah, Kampf moving forward. Erdkampf Lafette holding down the road, that's quite nice. Even the Crusader has to be a bit careful there, as it has the APHE shells with 45mm of penetration. AP range only 1250 meter, but if the Crusader would come out, it would be in range. Only the accuracy there being a big problem for the Erdkampf Lafette. Like, chances are it doesn't really get good hits. And the big problem for Mimile now is the south. He needs to figure out a way of holding those city blocks there, because in the forest he doesn't stand a chance. Gustatory Paras and Maros will clean him out wherever he goes in a forest fight. He needs to hold with Erdkampf, with Festung Grenadiers outside the forest, where he can use his MG34s and his MG42s.
In the north is also still under pressure. I mean, that Panzer IV there is the biggest armor in the area, so for now it's fine, but there's already one of those small AT guns coming up that will rip the Panzer IV apart, and once that is gone, there's just a single Jagdkampf versus, a pretty large infantry force. And in the center though, since we have now entered B phase where both sides will have a lot of income, bringing in the second off-map card, this one has an even larger caliber, and his opponent is also more clumped than last time. We do have to say that. He has been pushed more into, 2 quadrants of the city rather than being spread out across
Sherman
50%
versus Jagdkampf.
Huh?
Or Crusader
no,
AA?
It's the Crusader, no! Jagdkampf, no. They get out of there. And now they get the Sherman.
Reloading.
Oh!
Yes! Double kill there for the Jagdkampf. Really, really important kill. That's why Jagdkampf are so scary in this town. The Panzerschreck.
The leader is also exposed. Brrr. Oh, the elite. The Dünkirchen Jagdkampf Infantry elite. They're worth in gold right now.
Absolute MVP move there. Deleting a lot of valuable forces of Yamin's there. Might even allow some bombing runs here with Ju-88s. And yeah, those Jagdkampf doing fantastic. Sherman hitting the Jagdkampf back will finally allow the Maros to win that fight. But the Panzerschreck on a beefy unit that doesn't immediately get vaporized when it moves into the open, really, really scary in this town fights. As meanwhile in the south, Jagdkampf
find concerning
and Jagdkommando holding the line. Stuart goes down to the Marder, and Luftwaffe Jägers coming in now. The Luftwaffe Jägers got buffed up to 15 points as well now. They are still a trash unit, but they at least have a trash price now as well. So they are your kind of like a guilty pleasure movie. You know they are bad, but you still can have some fun with them now. Ju-88 bomber coming in, but it doesn't drop its bombs. That's a problem.
He's looking for the commander! But he didn't scout it in time. He needed to send the Arado out first.
Yeah, Arado.
That was the revenge for trying to snipe the off-map car earlier with the Baltimore. All I want to say is, what I don't really like about this off-map usage here is he just drops it as soon as the off-map arrives on the front line, when really he should be waiting maybe one more tick, bring in a wave of infantry, then off-map, and roll in as the off-map ends. Because like this, you know, the damage really just trickles in a little. You really rely on getting lucky with the direct hits, while you should be using it to, you know, shock and awe. Bring in the units, off map, move one city block forward, off map again, move one city block forward, and bam, you're at the end of the town and secured the center, right? But that forward movement never happens in conjunction with the off maps.
And whilst his center and south look somewhat decent now for Mimile, the north is pretty bad, and it goes to even worse stage now as the Panzer IV gets killed off by an M1 gun. Yamin bringing in the killer there, and now it's only one Jagdkampf and the Festungsgrenadier there holding on to the edge of the town. Erdkampflafette helping out a bit from the side, but there should be enough infantry for Yamin now to push the issue, especially as the L3 can just eat away on the Jagdkampf from range as well. As Ju-88 got his bombs out now. Center looking decent. Sherman wins the fight against the Marder 3 at least, but gets penetrated there once. Doesn't want to take a fight against the Panzer IV there. Infantry pushing forward. That off-map I really don't get from Mimile.
Yeah, that is... It's so wasteful. He needs those off-map charges to hit them, like to hit the infantry concentration when it actually comes in.
But south, Jagdpioneer coming in, Flak 43 there coming in to stop those annoying Baltimore bombers. Though I like the Obice investment there from Yamin, forcing the infantry out of the buildings, destroying all the buildings if need be, to allow your Italian infantry to swoop in there and just kill anything in CQC. As Sherman comes around as well, the Marder would be in trouble, but we have a Stuk 3G now there as well, so not sure how well that Sherman will do. It's the extra armored Sherman with 110mm frontal armor, so the Marders 130mm penetration struggle sometimes. The extra 5mm penetration of the Stuk should help out a lot though.
Yeah, the south looking pretty rough, and the north as well, especially since he can't displace this Guastatori Para with the double vet here, big infantry size. They just clapped these Jagd Pioneers completely. He really needs to take advantage of his center position, but he's captured one flag so far there for all his trouble, while his opponent captured 3 flags in the north and 1 in the south now, and is getting into position to capture even more in the south, bringing Mimile down to a 59.
Yeah, Jagd Pioneer with Flamethrower moving around, but even with the Flamethrower, they kind of struggle against Maros. And now Gustatori Paras coming in as well. Jagd Pioneer, not a great unit. 25 points, they have a Flamer, yes, but they don't have any SMGs to really profit on that. Like, the Flamethrower itself does deal decent damage, but the usual strength of the flamethrower is that it makes the enemy move, and then your SMGs do insane damage, right? But you just don't have SMGs with it. You have one MP28, which is just utter trash, and then you have Kar98s that won't do any extra damage either. So
look, the name of the unit already gives away the quality of it. Okay, it's a Kriegsmarine Jagdpionier. Huh? So the Kriegsmarine is doing force fighting now, huh?
That's their job description. Yeah, pretty sure that's what I signed up for. Puck 38 here, engaging the Sherman, getting the kill in the center, but at the same time we have the first couple of Wolverines, and they get a kill onto the Panzer IV. Stooks have to be careful against the Wolverines as well. It's a pretty fair fight, but 2 Wolverines versus 1 Stook. So Mimile under pressure, and he just doesn't get the W that he needs in the center. Off map's just not quite on place, and
yeah, the push also, you know, there's no push in conjunction with it. This off map is gonna hit a lot of Commandosi, but only if they're still in place there. But like the northern part of this town has been held by an RDT unit and a commando for the last 2 or 3 minutes. And he just doesn't have the infantry wave to come in after the off-map has weakened up the city. And his south and north is just slowly collapsing.
yeah. And he needs to get a kill onto the Sherman in the south. If he gets that, his Martyrs and Stooks can help out against the infantry fights. But his infantry is just not quite on the level to ever go on to the offensive against the Italians. As I said, like holding against them, if you have good buildings and so on, you can just hold with sheer mass. With Luftwaffe Jägers, just throw the bodies in there. But attacking into Berettas is just not something yet you can do. Like even now, the Gustatory Para and the Maro there get the kill onto another unit in the rear. 59 going on still, and they will retake the flag soon, most likely, as the front line most likely will reconnect. It's a weird bubble there. Oh, they're struggling so
hard. Are any of them raiders? Ah, yeah, they are. The other thing is, he's been using, like, his wear down on vehicles has been pretty large. I'm not sure how many Stooks he even has left at the deck, and we're not even out of B phase yet. And that's gonna be a big problem for the kind of composition he's going for here, where he has the lower quality infantry going in supported by vehicles, but he's just simply not gonna have vehicles anymore in 5 minutes.
Yeah, and the Stook getting sniped by the 75mm howitzer in the south. That's really good snipe there for Yamin. That's what I like about these Italian howitzers. With radio, they're so damn accurate. Baltimore somehow still getting its bombs out. Flak 43 most likely will get the kill in return, as the Baltimore did turn above it.
Yeah.
It's really close. Yeah, Baltimore going down. Arado still trying to get strafes, but 59 here for Yamin. So Mimile will be in need of attacking eventually, and that's just not something that Dünkirchen does well in the late game.
Not in the last off map in the center. I think for, you know, the last hurrah, trying to break the center one more time. We see the western side of this town completely demolished already, but he's calling in the next naval barrage. And if he gets lucky, he can get both those Wolverines. But again, he needs an infantry wave after it to actually take position, like to actually take control of the forward positions afterwards. Just hitting your opponent over and over again with the off map is not enough. You need to take the ground.
And so far, the hits not anywhere close to the Wolverines. Now a couple of hits getting somewhat on top of them, but it seems like it won't be enough to get the
Armada
kill.
is exposed. Everything is getting encircled and dies.
Yeah, Marder, really troublesome situation there. German coming up for it. Marder has to turn around. Commandosi get a Piat on top of this as well, so that should be the end of the Marder. And then we don't have any anti-tank in the south anymore. Though Bomber coming in with 2 1,000 kilogram bombs. But it's coming in for the Commandosi, not even for the Sherman. I mean, the Commandosi is toast, but is that really the kill you need? Oh, Sherman might run into it. It wiped out all the infantry in the town, and the Sherman got damaged because it ran into it, but it didn't quite get close enough to get killed. Luftwaffe Jägers...
Yeah, and he lost like 3 transports going in there in the south since the beginning of that exchange with the Marder.
Luftwaffe trying to come in there, but Commandosi, Gustatori, just way better infantry. And you only have so many Erdkampf as well. Like, Erdkampf and Jagdkampf can hold you to ground, but you only have so many of those. But the good the level of infantry in Sil should go throughout all of the game. More Gustatoris coming up. Gazalieri infantry, not great, but pretty decent nowadays as well, especially availability-wise. And the Obitzes just keep on firing into the center now as well. As the next off map,
the French artillery that you talked about to probably counter-batter it, right? Actually, right now he's using it to hit infantry in the town, but he calls it that off map somewhere at the edge of the town. He has no vision. He doesn't know what's there or not there, and he doesn't have infantry ready to take the ground after the previous off map. Essentially, he off mapped this place 3 times in a row now, but hasn't moved forward one street block.
Yeah. And the Wolverines were on the outside of this circle once more, but unfortunate AoE there also means that once more they don't take damage. So Wolverine will survive this one as well, and then it means that there's only one shot left. The cheap French gun does try its best to get rid of the Gustatoris, maybe allow some infantry to push in there, but he needs to do that quickly. He's still on an 8-16, and I just don't see how he wins the South. Yamin, really good play there with the Italians, really using the infantry absolutely fantastically, and yeah, dealing with the infantry,
look at
the
how much
Italians.
Is coming in the South. Like,
Dealing
look at
with
how
the
much
Italians
is coming in. That is double the points worth that Mimile has in the South in total, only in the transports.
Yeah. Yeah, the Gustatoris, the Gustatori Para, all fantastic infantry. And yeah, you usually need some light vehicles to deal with those Italian infantry. Like, that's often the way to do, and you just don't have that in Dunkirchen. And then the only thing that you have is the off-map, and those were misused. Those were not on the right spots, and this really is costing Mimile the game. Like, that's the one big thing that you have as an advantage here. And if you don't get that on point, then Sil will just punish you for it. And Yamin is doing that massively here.
He's enveloping the town from the south as well now. He's basically threatening the main reinforcement road into the town from the southern hill now, taking these forward building complexes where he will be able to even shoot at the artillery straight up. Like, this is a super desperate situation for Mimile. I don't see how he could possibly come back. These main infantry is coming in, but I mean, this southern hill even has like a Sherman on it still, the same Sherman providing cover fire. Wolverine pushing over the open. There's nothing that can stop the Wolverine. He's probably out of Stux by now, like as in completely out of Stux. Maybe he has one more left or something like this, and his opponent has artillery superiority as well.
Off map coming in on Mimile's Wolverines here. Come on, Dulcie. Could be nice, but yeah, the pressure that you needed in the early game just wasn't there, and then the follow-up off maps, like there were, out of the 9 off maps barrages we saw, there were 2 that I would call good. Maybe the last one here will get some good results as well. The rest was just randomly into the blue, and that's not how you can afford to use off map anymore. Like before the nerf, it was somewhat okay. They usually still got somewhat cost efficient, but nowadays you have to really worry about where you put those 3 salvos, and you have to actually get extra value outside of the damage they deal. You need to get something to follow it up, and he didn't get that. Wolverines once more survived the next
Especially if your whole game plan revolves around it, right? If you just have the off-map as a, okay, I'm just gonna try and get like a nice or decent-ish point trade or something tool, then, you can be a little bit more free with how you use them and don't need to always get the maximum out of them. But if the off maps are an integral part of how you're gonna try and win the game, you can't just throw them around. You need to use them in that, front breaking way. Otherwise you're never gonna break the front any other way.
Yeah, he now starts to clear out the town with his infantry, but more Alpinis are coming in there, and yeah, Yamin really did a good job at getting the right infantry at the right time in the right spots. Like, this is the really big thing that makes Sil such a hard division, because all your infantry is somewhat specialized, and getting the right infantry for the right job at the right time makes it a pretty tough division to play. It's not all rounders, It's specialized CQC infantry, it's specialized long range infantry, or it's something with a Piat that can be used against vehicles like the Commandosi. And he always had the right unit for the right job, like killing the Marder in the south with Commandosi, getting annoying Maros to hold narrow streets, or getting Beretta Maros, Bren Maros, that just absolutely delete infantry that moves into the open. And this is the really strong play of Yamin. Like, his infantry plays some of the best in the game. He's not quite on Gonzo's level when it comes to retreat, I would argue. Like, but his normal infantry control is just fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think this map actually came. I mean, it was a master showcase of Yamin's abilities. But on the other hand, I would also say maybe Mimile picked this because he thought it would be good on paper. But it looked like him doesn't have. Maybe he didn't have that much experience with the deck. Like this match for Mimile feels like looking at myself when I picked the deck because I thought it would be a good meta pick, but I actually don't know the deck very well. Like stuff like the Aufklärer being in the tractions, and then like this very weird mixture of a somewhat forward deployment with some flamers, but also you get a bunch of vehicles in there in your initial deployment, which really isn't the strength of Dünkirchen. And then you immediately get out the off map, but you never follow it up with an infantry wave. Like, I don't know, it felt a little bit unrefined, is I guess what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. It's the pick and ban, obviously, a super vital part in League. And he might have messed it up a bit.
Part.
Like, Dünkirchen division, that is really fresh still, and might still need a bit more refining, a bit more figuring out. As he took a long while thinking about which division to pick, and then, yeah, maybe had the decision as well. Like, yeah, I picked the one that feels meta right now. It feels like it should on paper be.
I made that mistake a million times, and I had to learn the very hard way that usually it's much better to play a slightly suboptimal deck that you know very well than to play the deck that maybe in some theoretical way is the optimal counter, but you just don't have experience with it. Because most of these decks have like their little own ins and outs, like little things that you want to know and take into consideration when building the deck and what kind of unit to bring out, right? Like you get a feel for all the special units, what they can do, what they can't do.
Yeah, I had the same issue yesterday in the Warno League, where I had to play meta decks and I just couldn't use them. Not in the Warno Monthly. But the week before I used my meme decks and it actually worked out against Puritaner. But this week with some meta picks, I just got absolutely clapped, even though Team in Place was using an off-meta deck. Yeah, I mean, here, doing really good for himself now, really close to getting the W. It seems like Mimile really wants to take it long, though, not giving up this time, not giving him a surrender. Will write the GG, that's for sure, but like he wants to take it out for as long as possible to maybe really get that wear and tear on Yamin. Though I fear Yamin is not someone who gets worn down that easily either. He's not one of these ADHD kids that is just there for 20 minutes and then he can't concentrate anymore. He is a pretty good veteran as well who knows how to play over a longer time period as well.
For sure, but I think Yamin is also the kind of guy who, when he can arrange for it, usually plays like 2 out of 3 games out of a best of 3 at once, and then he's kind of like, I'm kind of done for today, let's play the last game another time, kind of guy, right? Which does point to the fact that, once you've played Steel Division for 2.5 hours, that, he might need a rest. Like, I'm not saying that he's gonna like completely fall apart and like his performance is just gonna drop and it's over. No, but it's just personal preference, I guess. And playing against your personal preference is can have adverse effects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Gustatory Paras here, getting a really good job done. Losers, the losses on the other side here. Jagdkampf, that Jagdkampf really gave us some hope. Mimile killing the Crusader and the Sherman, but he couldn't follow it up with the off-maps around it, and they then do the final push. The Panzer Force always finding their makers somewhere, like good anti-tank gun positioning, or just good positioning around. Obitz is somehow killing Stokes. That's quite interesting. Yeah, 17 pounders in good spots, getting the kills here, and really fantastic Sill play. Like, that was still down on a masterful level. Like, this is how you're supposed to play Sill. If you ever want to learn this division, check out Yamin's gameplay with it. He has played it quite a couple of times by now, and you really should get a look onto his gameplay if you want to play a division like Sill, like Second New Zealanders Sill. Watch these gameplays, analyze them, and then you might get onto a similar level. Obviously, yeah, I mean, on a good point here to become the best current Steel Division player. Up 2-0 now. Let's see how it will go in game number 3. As he is on match ball now, so it is really down for Mimile. As